Hello, we're going to talk more about government intervention to deal with market failure. Now, we've already talked about this quite a lot in terms of indirect ad valorem taxes, and we've also talked about this in terms of regulation, a little bit, provision of public services. Now we're going to talk about this in terms of price controls. So, what governments can do is they can do maximum prices and they can do minimum prices, and both of these are going to intervene and mostly just limit the quantity of the good that's being traded. So we'll do maximum prices first. If we've got a lovely market, everyone's happy, we're trading at this amount, and the government suddenly decides, hey, we don't like alcohol, to use the example of the Scottish government, we're going to put a minimum price on alcohol. And so what this means is, sure, the producers would love to be selling this amount of quantity at that high price, but the consumers only want to buy that amount. And for a transaction to take place, you're going to need buyers and you're going to need sellers. So it's going to end up trading at this quantity. And you can see this is lower than the equilibrium quantity. So they've discouraged it. And that was the purpose in Scotland of minimum unit pricing on alcohol, to reduce the amount of alcohol that people are consuming. But there is excess supply because obviously companies would love to be selling loads more at that high price, but it's excess for a reason, because the demand that will be bought is only down here. So that's minimum pricing, and how minimum pricing obstructs the market because people don't want to pay that much. So it's a demand side, like, let's just raise the cost for consumers and they will want less. It's causing a contraction along the demand curve, because we're moving from here up to here. So contraction, the demand curve, lower quantity. However, you can also do it on the supply side with a maximum price. So if we've got demand and we've got supply, and this would be our equilibrium price, and then we say, hey, we want to cause a shortage in this thing, but we don't want to appear unpopular to our consumers. So we're just going to put it as a price cap instead of a price floor, which is minimum pricing. Right? You could call this a minimum price as a price floor. Instead, we are going to have a price cap, a maximum price here, this lovely foreboding line. And therefore, companies aren't going to want to sell more than here, than this quantity here. So even though obviously consumers would love to buy loads when the price goes down, and consumers go, yippee, the price is low, producers aren't going to sell very much if the price is kept low. There's going to be excess demand, and the result is that it also restricts the quantity by creating this shortage. And so these are two different ways that governments can intervene if a good has negative externalities. So maybe alcohol creates like antisocial behavior and costs in that way, and productivity costs, or maybe you think it's a demerit good and it's bad for people. And so there are reasons why governments might come in and put in these price controls, basically just to reduce the amount that's traded.